What's our subject?
Oh, extraordinary love. It's a podcast. What do you mean? What is our subject? That's so hilarious. I'm going to leave it in. Welcome, everybody, to the Extraordinary Lovers podcast. My name is Michael Gibson, and to my left is the lovely Laurie Handlers.
Hello.
And she is our guest co-host today for a very special podcast that I would like to dub the Creation Podcast. We have a guest couple on with us today who have really touched our hearts, have become dear friends to us, who we look to often, especially in the world of Tantra. They teach amazing Tantra classes, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about them, but we wanted to introduce them to you because they really are what we consider to be extraordinary lovers, and they have their own programs and everything that they're already currently doing, and I would consider
they have Temple in the Trees.
Temple in the Trees.
Yes,
it's a physical place to go to. Let me do this. Let me share with you really a couple of beautiful lovers, people who when we first met, we met. Now they know Laurie longer than I know them.
Not so much.
And no.
I knew of Laurie for a very long time before we actually met her, but we didn't meet her until we came to the Extraordinary Lovers journey.
Okay. Yeah. Well, so I stand corrected, and it's okay. They we came together and they did a program with us, and they did the extended long version of the program with us. So they took a journey with us, and just endeared themselves to us, and we love them. So yeah. I would like to introduce to you formally Michael and Lara Blackin. Please welcome to the podcast.
Yay! Thank you for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. So why don't you tell everyone, how kind of we met them, and you actually, we're going to skip around a little bit.
Okay.
But tell them how we met, and then you two, I would like you to share a little bit about yourselves, where you are, what you do, and that kind of thing.
So we met because, well, first of all, they used to host Monique Darling and Peter Peterson's facilitator training at their place. So a couple of times I was supposed to go. Of course, COVID got in the way of that. And so we didn't meet then. And then we met through our dear, adorable friends, Liz and Herminio.
Right.
Liz and Herminio Carmez. And then Lara and Michael showed up, like they decided to do this program with us that Liz and Herminio were doing like at the last minute. And that's how we actually met. But we knew of each other before. I knew that they had this beautiful temple and this home somewhere in Virginia. And I was going to go there. And I was telling all my friends in D.C., I'm going to be in Virginia. And then nothing happened. So we've only known you online, which is sad. But true, one day we'll really have hugs.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. And at the same time, we were signed up for the ISTA training in Toronto. And forever, we're like, oh, we're finally going to meet Laurie. This is going to be great. And then, obviously that didn't happen.
Cool. So tell us a little bit about yourselves. Tell us where you're at, where you come from, and a little bit about your journey.
Absolutely. I'm Lara, and about myself, I've been a holistic wellness practitioner for most of my life, since I left a career in broadcast journalism more than 20 years ago. And in the past 6 years that I've been married to this man, we have been exploring new ways to just deepen our relationship. And 3 years ago, actually, we're in a bit of an anniversary time of year for us. 3 years ago, we went into our first Tantric bubble experience. And it actually was the facilitators training that Monique and Peter did in New Orleans, which is our second home. And that was my first experience. So I have been training since that time to become a Tantrika, a Dakini, and that is now my practice, and that is my my work, if you want to call it that. It's really my joy that I'm in. I work with individuals one-on-one, and during these COVID days, it's actually blossomed into a whole new world of exploration that has actually really deepened my business, because the connections that I've been able to create and getting to know, really getting to know the individuals I work with and helping them get to know themselves in this virtual realm has surpassed any expectation that I had thought we would have even in person.
Wow.
So,
Beautiful.
yeah.
Congratulations.
In short, that's my journey and our journey. We also are celebrating an anniversary not only of our marriage, which is 6 years just last week, but also 2 years ago is when we opened our temple. So we opened our home. Our temple is our home, and we call it Temple in the Trees. And we opened it and we really blessed it. And we've been having events here and trainings here and community here almost every week for 2 weeks, 2 years straight until COVID hit. And we've changed that dynamic. We're still strong, but we've gone to a virtual format. So,
Sure.
yeah.
Congratulations, by the way.
Yeah, really.
Yeah,
Thank you.
A lot of anniversaries.
Celebrate you.
A lot of anniversaries.
Yeah, and it's also an anniversary of meeting Peter and Monique right before Halloween, right before the New Orleans training. I wasn't in the training, but the two of us went down and spent a few days just traipsing around New Orleans, which is, like she said, our favorite
That's how we do
city,
it.
and really showing our passion for the city to Peter and Monique and some of the other people who were going to be in that training. And we formed so much of a connection through that we became kind of business partners in Tantra with them, to the point where they started to do their extraordinary lovers training here. They did their women's training here. They've done Valentine's Day trainings here, all kinds of things that we hosted with them. And in fact, it was through that process with them that 2 years ago this week, we had the extraordinary facilitators training with them, where we went through the process of imagining the temple. And the incredible thing about it is that it was only 2 years ago. Like, it feels like we've been on this journey for so long. And when we had the anniversary last week, it's like, are you sure it's only been 2 years? Because we've just had so much incredible experiences. And in fact, that's kind of the terminology we like to use to describe what we do. We curate exceptional experiences for people. And part of it is from bringing in outside people like Peter and Monique and many, many other people like Johnny and Lucia and Kathleen Sanfuegos and many, many others. But it inspired us to start to teach together as well. And so we decided to say, we're bringing in all these incredible people and learning so much. Let's start doing it on our own. And we started a Tantra 101 series and have been doing it consistently ever since.
It was right before COVID.
Right before COVID is when we started. And just diving into just little chunks of, what is Tantra? Talk about presence, talk about breath, sound, and movement, talk about how Tantra meets kink, talk about all the different elements of Tantra that really excite us, because we want to share that passion with other people. We want to share the fact that we truly feel like Tantra can change the world, and share that with as many people as possible.
Ding, ding, ding. Ding, ding, ding. Yeah.
That's Laurie's ding.
Tantra can change the world, and
Absolutely.
Well,
and you are also dear to my heart, Michael, because you're a technology guy.
That's pretty.
We make a good team.
It's a sexiness, right?
But something very sexy about nerds.
Very much.
Sapiosexual.
Sapiosexual. Yes.
Sapiosexual, absolutely. Let's
And the other thing that we do with the temple that we're very proud of, and in fact, it's just fresh on my mind because we just had one last night, is we have men's and women's circles where we create community as much as we possibly can, just opening up a forum for people to come together and connect on a level where they can they can speak, they can be heard, they can express themselves in ways where they're not going to be judged and they're not going to be pushed away, and they can be who they want to be. And it's something that is so important, particularly, and I'll speak just for the men's circle that I facilitate. It's so important, particularly in these days when there's so much isolation and so many people just don't have the physical touch that they want to have an emotional and energetic connection, even through social distancing. Like we gather in a circle around the fire 6 feet apart, and we talk, and we don't touch each other, but we connect energetically and emotionally, and really I think it's really changing people's lives for the better.
Beautiful. Now let's go back a little bit. We mentioned sapiosexual. Who wants to give the definition of that?
1, 2, 3, not it.
You're not it? Sapiosexual?
You remember that from when we were kids? 1, 2, 3, not it.
Yeah, but you have to like touch him, right? Like 1, 2, 3, not it.
Right?
I remember.
Yeah. Well, I'd love to be it though. So
What is sapiosexual,
What is
Lara?
sapiosexual?
what is sapiosexual? So sapiosexual is that intelligence, the mind, is really, it's what turns me on. Like I think one of the first things that attracted me to Michael, absolutely, was just how smart he was, and that geeky technical, the part that I am not, and because I'm crazy creative and make a lot of mess, and he's very linear, and so sapiosexual, just being really turned on sexually by the brain, intellect. Yeah.
And it's interesting too, right? Because the mind is the largest, what's the word?
I don't know.
Erogenous zone in the body, right? So if you can turn on the mind, you can turn on the body.
That's right.
So there's a connection as well.
Absolutely.
So if you turn on the mind, you can open the heart, and you can turn on the body. There's a lot of things. The mind, they say the mind is the largest sexual organ. So,
Right.
yeah.
I get turned on by that. My mind is probably the one who's processing everything else that's happening, but the intellect. Turn on. You guys teach something called Tantra 101, and you teach this on a regular basis. Can you share with us a little bit about what that is? What is your process? And what is Tantra?
Well, those are two awesome questions. We typically start our Tantra 101s asking that very question: what is Tantra? And I think everybody who comes leaves with a different answer. And the discussion that happens within, what's the saying? You ask a million tantrikas what Tantra is, and you're going to get a million different answers. When we started teaching Tantra 101, it was because, quite frankly, we personally wanted to get back to the building blocks, like the real foundational elements of what we had been learning, and see the richness in just those simple tools. And I say simple, like they're profoundly simple. Breath, sound, and movement. And every single class incorporates those 3 elements, but in a fun new way. And we've had, in these past, 8-9 months that we've been doing it, every month has a different theme. The one theme was, how do you like to be touched? And in COVID days, we put forth this challenge to teach this class because we're teaching individuals. There may be couples that are coming or partners that are coming, but really it was about, how do you like to be touched? And to really go into a inquiry within ourselves as individuals about how we like to receive and how we like to give touch through our own exploration.
And the challenge is to make sure that we are including in that, how do you touch yourself?
Yes.
Right? What does, for example, flogging look like when you do it to yourself? What does rope bondage look like when you do it to yourself? And then also, how do you connect things that we find sexy and fun, like kink, and things like rope bondage and candle play and knife play and things like that, and how do we connect it back to tantric principles around mindfulness and meditation and going inward and breath, sound, and movement. So it's really about helping people in a lot of cases with their meditation practice through more fun and interesting ways of touching themselves.
It's the delightful alliance between Tantra and kink is also a huge dynamic that we play with. Because there's so many, I consider myself actually just a sensation slut. Like I just love sensations, and there's so many. So we broke them down into really simple components, and we worked like 1 month every week. We did a class, something different, on a very specific type of touch, like the sensation of fire, the sensation of air, and it's been a really beautiful experience for me as a facilitator.
He's growling.
Yeah.
You can't hear it, but inside he's going.
Well, here's why, because I want to stop you right there, because I love where we're going with this, but I want to stop you right there. And would you demonstrate, for instance, fire touch for us? Demonstrate that. Show us how to do it.
Yes, give a willing partner.
Oh yeah.
The fire touch can be literal, like touch of your hands on the skin, slapping. Yeah, really wakes up the body. Wakes up through the skin, through the touch. And we also like to use actual fire. So yeah. So one of our most deviantly rich Tantra 101s was we showed how to use fire on the body as a method of play. Wow. So can't show you that now.
Kerosene, light it on fire. Smear some kerosene, light it on fire.
Yeah.
Here you go.
There you go. Well, let me show you.
So you did kerosene. You put kerosene on the body.
Well, there are very specific wands that you can use.
And very specific accelerants. And
and ways to prepare the body.
Safeguards to have on hand. So don't just smear kerosene on your body and light it.
I'm not planning to. Plus, I have a pool. I'm not too worried about it. If I did, I could just jump in the pool. Right. One of the first stories I ever heard about the teacher Barbara Corellis was that she lit people on fire and then pushed them in the pool.
Nice. That's literal baptism by fire, right?
Wow, nicely done.
That's like diverse sensation play happening all like right there in that moment, which is pretty wild.
I heard that, and when I interviewed her, I just was like, "Is it true? You light people on fire and push them in the pool?" She was like, "Oh yeah." So
what do I got to do to get that?
I kind of like wax. I thought they were talking about candle wax. Yeah.
That's
too. We have a friend who makes who makes special wax in Hawaii, and she
raises honeybees.
She's
gorgeous.
She's a bee tender. I don't know if that's what you call them, but she's a beekeeper, and she creates these really beautiful candles, and some of them are phallic. So she's got some special molds,
and then she has special. It's beeswax.
Yep.
It's not synthetic, so it's really good for candle.
Oh, that must feel so luxurious.
Yeah. Truly. We had a couple on one of our Tantra 101s who make their own candles and sell them, and they had glow in the dark candles.
Oh, nice.
Wax, when it dripped on the body and the lights were out, were still glowing on the body.
Yeah, makes for absolutely beautiful art and photography, and that's one of my deepest loves is artistic expression.
Speaking of art, you're an artist. You do ceramics and some other things. Tell us a little bit about that.
I'm going to talk about like somebody I love right now. So yeah, I'm a ceramics artist. I've been playing with clay and truly playing with it for over a decade now. And I discovered it when I discovered my yoga teaching. My teacher was a clay master, and the alliance between working with clay as a body and working with our bodies as if they were clay. The word adobe, it means home, and working with that home within ourselves, that is the yoga practice. So when I started working with clay and ceramics many years ago, I didn't think it would be something that would necessarily translate into a lifelong passion, but it has. It's like once I get my hands in that dirt, it's the tactile nature of it is like I could work with it with my eyes closed. So as a massage therapist and as a clay artist, it's that element of working with something that you can shape and form. And I'm self-taught. My everything I make is completely and utterly unique from each other. There's no two things that are alike, but that's the beauty of it. And my business is Tendrils of Green, which is my ceramics arts, but it's also my tantric arts, because I think they both sit within the same world, which is expression. Tantra is about self-expression, really learning how to express ourselves, as is art. So I fuse a lot of art into my teaching, into my facilitation. I love the wordlessness element of it, that we can share a language with others and share a language with ourselves that is not made of words. It's made of objects and colors and textures. So, yeah.
And as an appreciator of Lara's art, I can say that whereas you might find phallic candles, like you talked about, many of Lara's, in my opinion, most beautiful pieces of ceramic are very vaginal in their nature.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Thank you for mentioning that. They are. I mean, a lot of the forms that I make, which are both functional and beautiful, have an extremely feminine quality to it. Almost everything looks like a yoni. It looks like something you can enter and explore into. So yeah.
Or something that you can put your wand for the singing bowls into when you're not using it.
Right. It's true. It's true. I do a lot of sound healing and music therapy, and so a lot of the vessels that I create are to place those items that I use in my work into. Okay. So yeah. Thank you for asking. Yeah, I could talk about art all day. So.
Well, and Tantra in and of itself is, as I understand it, is about weaving. I'd say, as I understand it, as this lovely woman has taught me, that Tantra is about weaving, and it's multi-layered and multifaceted. And some of the value of Tantra that I personally gotten is the ability to practice in ways that has my life be memorable. So Laurie and I teach this program called Extraordinary Lovers. And when I think about that, I think about what's extraordinary about, like, there's ordinary and then there's extraordinary. What's extraordinary about life are the memorable times, are the times that we create those, like you said, you cultivate these amazing experiences. And I think that—
I think they said curate.
Curate. That's
curate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful choice of words. Yes.
That's like being an artist. Curation. So.
Thank you. Corrected on live TV by the beloved. Yeah, curate. That has such an amazing way of up-leveling life, whatever your experience of life is. And I want to talk about Tantra because I think that some of the work that you do, and I also want to talk about how your extraordinary lives have unfolded, right? What do you do as a practice, as like the shamanic part of your Tantra living? Have you discovered those extraordinary memories, those new experiences, and the creation of it? So, big question, really simply, what's it like to be you?
Well,
Sure.
a bit of direction.
Yeah.
That's a great question.
It's a damn good life to be me. I'm just saying.
Can I
But,
keep my mouth?
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
one of the reasons for that, we just had an anniversary, like Lara said, and I took a week off of work to just not do anything particularly spectacular in terms of going to Paris or going to the beach or any of the things that we often would have done. We just decided to take the week and really just connect with each other in as many ways as we possibly could, and in the ways that really turn us on in our couplehood. And what do we love most in connecting with each other? We love playfulness, we love adventure, we love discovering new things together. And that can certainly be applied in the bedroom and with kink and with all kinds of fun stuff, or it could be as simple as getting lost in our own backyard. So what we did is we picked a direction and got in the car and tried to get lost. And it was, late October in Virginia, and we live in a very mountainous region, and it's gorgeous, and there's colors everywhere, and there's wineries all over the place. And we're driving down these country back roads. We have no idea where we are or how to get home, and we don't care. Like, we're stopping and trying to figure out, why is there this gorgeous piece of sculpture up on that hill over there when there's nothing else around? And we're figuring it out, and somebody stops and says, "Hey, are you guys lost? You look like you're lost." And we're like, "Yeah, but we're fine. we're totally okay with being lost. Thanks for asking, though." And continued on doing it. And it was just, stopping every so often to take pictures of things that caught our eye or took our breath away, and just finding those ways to connect in intimacy and in pursuing the things that we love doing together for days and days and days with no other interruptions. That is what it's like to be us.
I love that. I'm giving you the bell for that. And I want to tell you that I feel like what you're describing is a lengthened Larihan. Like when you went in the unknown and got lost and said, that's okay. Don't rescue us, sir or madam, whoever it was. We're like lost and we're digging it, and we don't care because we don't need to know. We're in the unknown.
Exactly.
Very much. Yes.
And we just co-created the experience and out of nothing.
Yes. Yeah.
We have Monique and Peter's van here.
Shh, don't say that. Don't tell anybody. Now, if we disappear for a week, it's your fault.
They parked their van here and went to Mexico, so we could do that and sleep over.
Good.
How long?
No, we're not going to Virginia.
You are so welcome in Virginia. You're so welcome in Virginia.
Maybe
we visualize that van being parked in our driveway all the time.
Hey, you brought it up.
I'm just saying.
So that's what we're really good at. Have you guys ever done that before?
No.
See?
One night there was one night, it was in the beginning of COVID when we were really feeling like the pressure of, oh my God, we're really not going anywhere. Yeah. He said to me, get in the car. So I said, well, I have my purse. And he said, no, you don't need your purse. And I was like, how can I go? I've never as an adult gone in the car without my purse. And he said, just get in the car. So I got in the car and it was around 6 o'clock and in the spring, and he just drove west and he said, we're driving to see the sunset. And in Arizona, we have some beautiful sunsets.
Yeah. Yes.
And it was like, oh, you took me to see the sunset. That's so sweet. I mean, I had no idea. All I was like, where are we going? How can I go somewhere without my wallet or, my phone, my glasses? He's like, it doesn't matter. You'll see. Yeah. So that's what we did.
I feel like you shouldn't bring any ID when you're going to rob a bank. I'm kidding. It was so just in the moment. And it was like, let's just capture this moment. Let's get the hell out of here. Let's go look at what we take so for granted every single day. And it was an amazing experience.
Yeah, it was. It was wonderful.
We came home and made love, and I think that's the perfect date.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, we've kind of coined a phrase here because sunset chasers. Like, let's go chase the sunset. Let's go, hop on a road and see where we can find the most beautiful vantage point to watch the sunset.
Beautiful.
During that week I was just
dates.
talking about, we were coming back from, we were in West Virginia for some reason, and we came back into Virginia just as the sun was setting, and we had no idea where we were, and there was a road off to the right called something Summit. We're like, ooh, that'll probably be a good one for the sunset. So we made a right, going down this road, no idea where we were or what we were going to run into, and just followed it until it turned, and then eventually we found a spot where we could see the sunset. We just parked on the side of the road, literally in the middle of this big open field, and just hung out there for 20 minutes and watched the sun go down, and then got back in the car and drove home.
So simple pleasures. Simple pleasures.
Yeah.
And doing something, for the first time. Like that's a huge mantra for us. When was the last time you did something for the first time? And
that is the tagline of our
When was
Tantra.
the last time I don't know if you can hashtag that. When was the last time you did something for the first time?
Yep.
That's great.
That's such a great question.
Yeah.
When was the last time you did something for the first time?
Probably today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it?
I don't know. Maybe it was 20 days ago.
20 days ago.
Yeah, today was day 20 on Sananga drops.
Right. Oh,
I'm putting drops in my eyes to get rid of cataracts before considering surgery. So it's a Peruvian, plant medicine, and they're going in my eyes, and it doesn't feel so good.
Feels so good. It feels like it goes from 0 to holy fuck, that hurts. Instantly. It's a level 10 experience of pain, and I feel like I'm torturing this poor woman every morning because I'm the one who's serving the plant medicine, and then what I do is after she goes through the process of the pain and everything, I hop into bed with her and I just cuddle her because I know oxytocin will alleviate.
That's a good reason to do it.
Yeah, it's really sweet.
That's one
It's
reason.
Very, very sweet.
The other reason, she's very nice to be close to. All kinds of things come up.
I like it. Well, when you come up with your next first time, will you let us know?
Yeah.
Hear it.
Yeah. So you're very squishy, and I love you.
Thank you.
Yeah. But I would say that.
That would make a good podcast series.
I love my squishy.
Interview people about things that they just did for the first time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I thought that too.
Yeah.
I thought that too as a podcast name. When was the last time you did something for the first time? And you could get all these people on with these crazy new experiences. Who knows?
I mean, Jerry Seinfeld takes people's cars and goes and has coffee.
Right.
Right.
That's just a weird thing, but it's actually a pretty good show.
Yeah.
It is. And it's very intriguing. I mean, you never know what you're going to hear of.
I think you should start it.
I said yes, and yes.
We will figure out ways, and you can have us on your podcast.
Oh, that'd be so much fun. Yes.
So what else, what I feel like I want to ask them, really, I want to ask you, what's the secret to your extraordinary relationship? What is it that is unique to you that's extraordinary about your relationship?
Yeah.
Uh-oh, tongue-tied.
No, it's the word unique in there, because there's a lot of things I think that make us extraordinary, but that aren't necessarily unique to us. For example, being on this journey of discovering Tantra and learning more about ourselves, learning more about the space in between ourselves and others, and learning more about how we connect with our beloved in ways that feed us and that deepen our intimacy. Those are beautiful things, but they're not unique.
Well, I wanted to just know about being extraordinary. So in case other people do it, it's still okay. You still qualify because you have because you have an extraordinary relationship, and
Yeah.
so it's like, what makes it extraordinary? It may not be unique.
Well, what is unique about it is I mean, it's you, babe. You know? Yeah.
Although, back to the conversation before about the sunset chasing and getting lost in our own backyard, it's about extending our passion for each other and our shared passion for the world around us and all the ways that we can deepen our intimacy. It's not limited to the bedroom. A lot of people use the word intimacy as a synonym for sex, but it's not. There's a million different ways that we can be intimate with each other, and exploring all of those, that's where the extraordinary aspects come in, is to say, yes, I'm more pleased, to coin an expression from the great Eugene. But yeah, just expanding and expanding and expanding. And that also, by the way, you ask 1,000 tantrikas, what does tantra mean? Some will say we, some will say expand. And it's an expansion tool, right? And finding more and more ways to express our intimacy in the everyday, right? And not to point another expression like everyday tantra, thanks to Peter and Monique, but there's a hell of a lot of wisdom in that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's making truly, I think, the ordinary extraordinary.
Yeah.
And like for us right now, one of the most extraordinary things that we experience with each other is we made a commitment recently, within the past few months, to commit to time together every morning. At some point, before noon and our workday really gets, into its throes, to sit and connect with each other for at least a half an hour. Ideally an hour. And we have different things that we do within that time. But when we were realizing that we weren't connecting, we're like, well, let's schedule it. Let's make time for each other every single morning. Let's schedule it. And it doesn't have to be a specific thing. It's just time. We're there together to be in presence with each other. And it's something that I asked for. And I think what's making our relationship extraordinary is I'm learning what I want and how to ask for it and not be afraid to ask for it.
Good.
So that's a biggie. And I'm also learning for myself personally that it's okay to want to have time and space for me so that I can come back into this juicy, awesome relationship. And one of the things within our week off on our anniversary together was we were together 24/7 for like 7 days. On the 7th day, I kind of looked at Michael and I was like, I need some alone time. And that night was fantastic.
You're a twin.
I'm your twin, bro.
Yeah. It's like, I love you. Yeah. So, and during COVID, very early on, I asked if I did ask, because I feel like this is something that my family, we have a big family. I asked if I could have a bedroom of my own so that I could have a space just for me, so that I could go into and be extraordinary and get in touch with and remember what it's like just to be me. So that when I do come back into a relationship, and I'm always in a relationship, but when I choose to come back into that space, it just feels so much more expansive when we're together. So that to me is the weaving. That's the expansion.
Yeah.
Pull away and then pull back in.
It's amazing. Well, in what I feel like you're speaking to, I don't want to redefine it, but what it feels like that you're speaking into is this idea of sovereignty, of who you are and knowing thyself, right? To know thy own self and to thy own self be true. And I think it's an important part of having this extraordinary life where you really know who you are. You get to spend time with yourself. You can move away without. You can be solo or in solitude, but not be separate. right? And oftentimes what it requires is to be separate to have that solitude. I think I'm speaking in poems now or some kind of poetry, but it's really what it is that you can actually know yourself. And that's such an important part. It's like a component of what it takes to be extraordinary. So yeah, it's like you cracked the code on that one. And that's important. And that's also another one of those things that might seem common to have extraordinary, have your life be extraordinary. But doesn't that make it so much better because anybody could do it?
Absolutely.
You
Most
know?
people don't think of it though. They don't have their own rooms.
Right.
Most people don't. I mean, our parents didn't model that. I don't know. My parents didn't model that.
Lucy and Desi did.
Lucy
Yes.
and separate beds. That's all.
Separate bed for one bedroom.
Yes. Well, King Louis did, but that's a different story.
Yes.
um,
And we do.
We have
Yeah.
bedrooms
Mhm.
also, and we advocate that to people so that your pheromones don't get blended.
Right.
So we talk about that a lot, but we knew you had that too. And we were impressed with that when we found out, because a lot of people look at us like we're Martian when we say that. So, no, you should have your own bedroom if you can,
Mhm.
or you should have a room somewhere where you can go and take space. And they're like,
What?
really?
Really? Yeah.
Why? We never saw that. No one ever told us that. And we're like, no, you make it up.
You got to maintain your polarity, folks. That's how this
Yes.
works.
It's so delicious. I mean, it was not without strife. Uh, in truth, it was born originally from we need some time apart.
Right.
And I was like, wow, this is really good. Like this is really healing.
Because the beautiful part is we get so, in marriage, oftentimes there's an obligation of being together. And the whole concept of, are we together because we have to be together, or are we together because we choose to be together?
Yeah.
Right? That gets blurred when there's this expectation that we're going to sleep in the same bed every night. But if we can just twist that a little bit to choose to sleep in the same bed when we choose to be in the same bed, invite each other into our space when we decide to invite each other into our space, changes that dynamic out of one of obligation and into one of choice. And that's Jesus.
It is Jesus. Every night. Yeah.
I got it.
It's so powerful.
Yeah.
That last statement is so powerful. Most people don't even think like that. So it's like that's outside of the dots, and other people are like, oh, duh. What? And it really is like you choose to come together out of, desire, which is alive, rather than we have to be together because we have this one bed. Because we bought this one bed and we didn't have any foresight about maybe we needed another one, so it's great, really great.
Perfect. Thank you so much
All
for
right.
sharing that.
So any tips? Do you have a tip at all for anyone, for couples, let's say? Do you have a tip for couples besides the separate bed thing, which was a very valuable tip? Anything else before we?
Yeah, there's something that we do in those morning times when we come together quite often
Oh, yeah.
that really feels connecting in a way for me in particular, because I have, over the 49 years of my life, not always had the best ability to speak my feelings, right? As a guy, I'm not, and oftentimes we aren't socialized to speak our feelings. We're in fact socialized not to speak our feelings, and that makes the relationship with somebody who's a particularly deep feeler sometimes a little challenging. And so one of the things that we do that I would recommend for anybody is called a mark. And this is something that was introduced to us by our beautiful teacher, Kathleen Cienfuegos, where we come together and each one of us gives a, what are we mourning? MOURNING. What are we mourning right now? In other words, what need isn't being met in ourselves right now? What is our appreciation that we want to share? What is our reassurance? So something that, hey, I know I haven't been X, but I'm going to be Y kind of format. And then the C at the end of MARC, MARC, is celebration. What need is getting met? So mourning, appreciation, reassurance, celebration. The acronym is MARC. And each one of us does our mark, says those 4 things. The other person is only allowed to receive that and say thank you at the end, and then give back their mark and receive a thank you at the end, and just be heard, and just have an opportunity to just express without being challenged, without being judged. Just here's what I'm feeling right now, good, bad, or indifferent.
Lovely.
Wow, that feels so good.
It feels so good.
Yeah.
So good.
That's a great tip.
I love it.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kathleen.
We're gonna steal
You don't
it.
know that you
We're
were on the
stealing
show
it.
today, but you were on the show.
We are so blessed to have so many, incredible teachers and facilitators, which truthfully are dear friends. It's, and all these gems and all these tools and all these things that we've been learning, our treasure chest is overflowing. And this is one that's really working for us right now. It just brings us into gratitude and really is able to shape our feelings and our needs very clearly. You know, what we're feeling, what our needs are individually, and just be heard. And after that connection in the day, I feel like we're still connected throughout the entire day, and even though we don't see each other, if even just in a passing. And it makes when we do come back together again in the evening, all the more just juicy and yummy. So, yeah.
We can do that after my drops.
Well, we kind of do it.
We kind of do it, but this is a format.
This
which
is definitely
really
a format
nice.
that's
Yeah,
really,
it's great.
it's beautiful. And I recommend anybody, right?
It's a tip.
All of those who are viewing, right? Go back and watch this again and really get it. But yeah, that is an amazing way to really set the tone, to create that tone for being and relating throughout the day. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us. This was
Yeah.
fun.
We are a community, and so what we would like to do is make sure that that everybody has access to you. So please share your website, and how can we get in touch with you on social media, all the things.
Our single point of reference that'll lead you to everything else is Our Temple in the Trees. .com. And that is that's where you can find my practice, our classes, all of our community offerings that we do, our men's and women's circles, which right now are they're in person, but they're going to be virtual soon, which means they're global. So Our Temple in the Trees, and on Facebook it's Temple in the Trees. So
just be careful, because there's also a Temple in the Trees in Santa Cruz. That's a group of taquinis in California,
beautiful.
which is fantastic, and they're wonderful, but that's not us. We're the ones in Leesburg, Virginia.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Leesburg, Virginia.
Yeah.
We're in Leesburg, Virginia, just about half an hour, 45 minutes outside of D.C. And we are tucked away in the woods here with this privacy and beauty and nature. And yeah, come visit. Come visit.
Well, we want to. That's
we do
for
have
sure.
a van.
We do.
For a month.
For a month. We have a van.
PP, other people's property.
So, and by the way, honey, I packed the van and it's gassed up. See you in a few days.
Awesome. We'll be here.
Oh, we love you
Thank you
so
much. Thank
Truly.
you.
Well, thank you everybody for being with us today. We really do appreciate you coming and sharing with us in this this amazing conversation that we had. And we love that you do support the podcast. And so please keep coming back to sextalkradionetwork.com. That's where you'll be able to find all of our podcasts. And we will see you next week. So until then, be extraordinary.
Oh, ready?
Oh.
Hey, do the wave.
Okay.
Do the wave. You start, Lori. Then you, Michael.
Thank you, guys.
Lots of love.
Thank you.